I'm gonna give y'all a quick overview real quick of where all we're going. We're gonna make a really big loop around Trussville, basically. We will go to Civitan Park, talk about a couple things that maybe you don't know about, maybe you haven't seen. We're going to go past the industrial park, talk very briefly about it. We'll hit on Camp Coleman. We'll make a quick trip over to the Trussville Memorial Cemetery. We will walk through the cemetery. I'll tell you a couple stories when we're there. And then we will take a long trip out to Queenstown Lake. You ever heard of Queenstown Lake? Okay, I'm seeing some head nods. Last year, nobody knew about Queenstown Lake. They didn't even know we were in Trussville anymore. And then we'll talk about some other stuff on the way back. We'll get off the bus at Trussville City Hall and talk about a former school that was there. And then we will loop back to basically where we're at now, right over here on South Mall. Talk a little bit about the Cahaba Project, and then we will be back at Heritage Hall. Let you guys roam around the museum. Any questions you have when we're there, feel free to ask. So yeah, that's the trip in a nutshell. I would assume y'all have been on Civitan Bridge, you've run across it. That bridge used to be across Happy Hollow Road, kind of near the backside of the Trussville Sports Complex. 1984, it got moved here, so it hasn't always been here. It was a one-lane drivable bridge. Now it's obviously just a pedestrian bridge, and it got listed on Alabama Register of Landmarks and Heritage or something like that. Everybody knows this bridge, so it's got a little bit of history to it too. It was built in Argo, I think in the early 1900s. I forget the exact year, 1906, 1908, something like that. But what I really wanted to show y'all, and then I promise we'll get back on the bus for a minute. You see the rocks that are jutting out into the river that you can kind of see right there? Many of them, if you go stand on them, there's more underneath it. It's almost in a stacked, almost stairs kind of way. And a lot of them, it's primitively cut. Rocks don't have 90-degree angles, but we are in the process of trying to get some experts to come out and tell us, could that be the site of the guy who's credited with the founding of Trussville? Could that be where his mill was? I mean, Warren Truss owned basically everything around here for a long time. He sold a whole bunch of land in this area in 1825, with the exception of 1.5 acres. We drilled down on an old map and compared it to a map today, overlaid it. That 1.5 acres included land that he had his grist mill on the Cahaba River. We're to the point where we're trying to prove to ourselves that it's actually not it. Thought that was cool. We can head back to the bus. All right, next we're gonna go to Trussville Memorial Cemetery, otherwise known as Cahaba Baptist Cemetery. Warren Truss, who we kind of talked about, he is buried here. Like we said earlier, he's the first known settler of Trussville, came from North Carolina. He was born May 12th, 1772. The area in St. Clair County that he first settled would be considered modern day Springville. He stayed there a few months, decided to look for something a little more along the river, start his mill, build a church, help start Cahaba Baptist Church, First Baptist Church, Trussville. So the guy who founded this place, or is credited with the finding of this place, is buried right there. A lot of his family around in here. There's so much wear to this thing that it's getting hard to see the lettering and that sort of thing. Obviously that one's cracked in half, but I mean, this thing's nearly 200 years old. Let's talk about this magnolia tree. Obviously the centerpiece of this cemetery. There's a legend involved with this tree that it was planted by a grieving young lover beside the grave of his intended bride. Overcome with the loss of his true love to pneumonia, the young man eventually grieved himself to death, and his family honored his request to be buried beside his intended bride. It's said that on a moonlit night, you can see the young couple embrace. Kind of thought to be maybe the biggest magnolia tree in perhaps all of Alabama. It is a massive, massive magnolia tree. So this area that they're using as an annex for City Hall right now, while the other one undergoes renovation, was actually part of an elementary school. But you see all the bricks all through here? All these bricks were a part of this school that burned down May 10th, 1973. Children were sent running out of this building that was 51 years old at the time. It opened in 1925. It caught fire around 11:30 a.m. on a Thursday, started at the center of the building and spread throughout the wooden brick structure within seconds. The cause of the fire remains a talking point today. I do know that the wooden floors were cleaned with an oil-based cleaner. So you clean the wooden floor with oil and a fire happens. Imagine what happens. There are artifacts that were saved that are inside the museum. There's like a microscope. There's some daily schedule stuff we can look at, but kids went running out of this place across the street to First Methodist Church there. There were 600 4th, 5th, and 6th graders in the building that day. 0 kids died. The biggest loss to them, they were collecting bottle caps. They were trying to get 1 million bottle caps. They had 937,000 bottle caps that they were saving for some sort of fundraiser, some sort of project, and all of those were lost in that fire. We've got articles, photos that show the fire. It's pretty intense. The school is a massive school. We're just kind of on the edge of it. You can almost see kind of where this thing sat, or this edge of it sat. Like you've got this run of bricks right here, almost like you can see almost like a path that it takes and then cuts that way. So like you can almost get the shape of the edge of the building here, and it extended this way through these woods, and then they would have exited out here and connected to this annex. So that building had served as Trussville School from 1922 to 1926, R.G. Hewitt High School from 1925 to 1938, and then Hewitt Elementary School from 1938 to 1973. It included a concrete lintel over the school's double doors. Obviously that concrete lintel came down in the fire, but it is in the courtyard, in the backyard of the museum. So you can see that. Trussville City Schools, before they redid all the logos, they took that logo from that lintel because that lintel has an open book and says like Trussville School around it. So that was the inspiration for that logo when Trussville City Schools formed. Y'all are very familiar with the mall. When the government bought 600 and something acres here, the initial thought was to build this homestead project very much like the others, where you get kind of a modest house and maybe 5 acres to kind of farm and just kind of live a self-sustaining kind of life. And because of the blast furnace, which sat kind of over in that quad area, you can see the historic marker in the median for it there. This ground was full of slag. We've talked about it being called Slag Heap Village. They realized you can't farm land that is just so full of this hard byproduct of creating pig iron. And a lot of that pig iron that was created from this blast furnace went toward armament efforts in World War I. So the government kind of had to pivot their idea of what this place was going to be. And ultimately they chose to make this place a model city for kind of the rest of America post-Depression, what we want it to look like post-World War II era. Initially, they were going to build 400 homes. They were going to go up Cherokee, and the terrain up there was too rocky. They might have even poured a few slabs before they said, we ain't going up this way. So ended up with 287 homes, 243 single family, 44 duplexes, like the ones you see here on North Mall and South Mall and West Mall behind the Christmas tree. This place is incredibly nationally historic. It's on the National Register of Historic Places. Our group, the Caba Homestead Heritage Foundation, has really tried over the last 5 years to really educate people on how this place is not just historic to Trussville or to Jefferson County or to Alabama, but it's truly one of a kind in the country, and several of y'all live right in the middle of it. So